Everybody take a seat.
Hello everyone, let me invite you back to your tables and to your chairs. Particularly in the back of the room, Dr. Stevens and President Patterson and thank you again for your attention and your patience. We provided you a bit of an extended break, so I hope you enjoyed that. And I'm waiting for Angel to. All right. Give me a bit of a signal. Okay, ready? Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming back and for our final session with the Attorney General. We're pleased that the Attorney General is able to join with us today remotely. As you know, the Attorney General has been at the forefront, not just for California, but nationally, leading legal response to some very concerning directives out of the federal government related to educational funding. And but he would have preferred to be with us today, but had a conflict and is somewhere else in Southern California. So following the Attorney General's comments, he will address a few questions that were provided ahead of time by the board, the CVHEC board, and then will excuse himself for a prior commitment. So with that, let me turn it over to the Attorney General of California, Bonta.
Hey everybody, how are you? Good to see you, and thanks for having me. Thank you so much, Chancellor Munoz, for the very kind introduction, and wish I could be with you in person, but glad I could be with you virtually. And thanks for all the leadership you're providing. This is all hands on deck, all tools in the toolbox moment where everyone needs to rise up and push back against the attacks and make sure that we're continuing on our pathway to progress. So I want to say thank you for protecting access to higher education. I want to start by acknowledging the difficult time that many are having since President Trump took office. We have to acknowledge that reality. I've been talking to many Californians up and down the state, workers and families, teachers, our youth advocates, elected representatives, so many folks from across the spectrum of our communities. And what I've heard over and over in these conversations is a tremendous amount of fear, of anxiety, of confusion, especially as it relates to immigrant rights and the treatment of our immigrant community, and understandably so. Sadly, I think it's pretty clear that that's part of the president's strategy. But I'm here to provide facts and reason and assurances of California's nation-leading protections. Now, more than ever, it's imperative that we make sure all immigrants and their families and those that serve them know the rights and protections afforded to immigrants under the law, rights and protections that I'm here to defend and to enforce. And this is personal for all of us. We all, of course, have our hats that we wear in our official capacity, but we all bring our lived experiences and our entirety of ourselves to our work. And so this is personal for me, I know to you, for you, and my own story, I think, really has resonated in this moment as someone who, when I was 2 months old, had parents who decided to leave the Philippines because they saw the writing on the wall, the imminence of martial law, the rise of a dictator. They moved me and us to Los Angeles seeking more opportunity and a better life. And my parents were fierce believers that you can't just hope for the things that you want for your future, for your family, for your community, for democracy. You have to fight for them, and you have to work for them. And for them, that meant organizing with the United Farm Workers of America. When I was a young boy, we moved to La Paz, the headquarters in the small town, in the Tehachapi Mountains outside of Bakersfield. And that was the HQ. And I watched my parents fight for fair wages and safe working conditions for the hardworking people who grow and harvest our nation's food, and many of whom, of course, are immigrants. And I saw them fight for shade and water and bathroom breaks, human necessities we all deserve without question, necessities that many of us take for granted. And I watched them fight for a world where all people, no matter where they're from, have a real chance to go after their dreams, support their families, and give their kids a bright future. It laid the foundation for who I am today, what I stand for, what I fight for as Attorney General. And also laid the groundwork for who I fight for and who I fight alongside. And I'm committed to fighting with you, standing with you. California DOJ is here to protect and defend and enforce our state's laws and protections. And we're here to represent all of California's beautifully diverse communities and ensure everyone can achieve their version of the California dream. So we're here for you, and you can be sure that if Trump breaks the law or violates the Constitution, we will see him in court. We already have. So far, we've sued President Trump, the Trump administration, 20 times. 20 times in less than 16 weeks, so more than once a week. Starting with our lawsuit after the president issued an unconstitutional and frankly un-American executive order attempting to end birthright citizenship on his first day in office. A judge appropriately, swiftly granted our preliminary injunction motion, blocking the executive order while our case proceeds. And let me be crystal clear, birthright citizenship is a constitutional right. The president has overstepped his authority by a mile with this executive order. I want to assure you that my team and I are actively reviewing all of the many deeply concerning executive orders that the president has issued, and it's why I challenge the Trump administration for conducting an illegal mass firing of nearly half of all employees at the U.S. Department of Education. I sue the Trump administration for conducting an illegal mass firing of federal probationary employees. The judge granted a temporary restraining order requiring employees to be reinstated. I also sued the Trump administration after it unlawfully terminated education and grants for California and states across the nation, grants with a total value of $140 million for California alone. A judge granted a temporary restraining order as the case proceeds in that case. So we also issued guidance to higher education institutions and K-12 schools in response to the Department of Education's threats to withdraw federal funding from institutions that retain DEI programs and policies. Bringing diverse perspectives to campus benefits all students, and everyone deserves equal access to public education. Educational institutions should be encouraged to continue to foster diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. When the president froze $3 trillion in critical federal funding, we sued him then too. Again, a judge quickly blocked the freeze, and then a week later granted our motion to enforce their court order when Trump didn't fully reinstate access to the funds. If this freeze takes effect, it would threaten hundreds of billions of dollars in California annually, including funding for programs like Head Start, education services for students with disabilities, and California's Medicaid programs, which serve approximately 5 million children and 2.3 million seniors and people with disabilities. When Trump attempted to unlawfully decimate NIH funding, National Institutes of Health funding, for medical and public health research, I sued him then. And again, within hours, a judge immediately blocked the cuts. And just this week, we were granted a preliminary injunction to allow hundreds of millions of dollars in vital education funding to continue to flow to states while litigation proceeds. In California alone, over $200 million in previously awarded and obligated funding is at stake. This funding is being used by school districts to support the academic recovery of students following the COVID-19 pandemic, in particular addressing the disproportionate impact of the pandemic on economically disadvantaged students, including homeless children and children in foster care. The Trump administration's actions are not only short-sighted, they're also illegal, as we've demonstrated in court time and time again. Be it through litigation in court, through new legislation, or through responses to executive orders and dangerous regulations, California DOJ will continue to protect, defend, and serve every single Californian. And we'll do so with partners like you. It's going to be a long 4 years, no doubt about it, but we'll get through it if we stick together. Locked arms, shoulder to shoulder, no space between us. A united front, ready to protect our people, defend our rights, and lead with our California values. In California, progress will prevail. I'll help make sure of it. Thanks for having me, and now happy to answer any questions you might have.
Attorney General, thank you so much for that. Just a remarkably encouraging update. And I'm not sure if you can see or hear all of the applause that are coming your way, but I'll do it from my microphone. Make sure that they reach you. And what a way to bring to some close our summit with such encouraging, hopeful strength and resolve to live and to litigate, if necessary, the values of the state. So encouraging. And want to thank you again for making the time. We have a few questions that were prepared ahead of time. We may or may not have all of the time that we need in consideration of your schedule for all three, but let me start with the first question, which I think is on the minds of many in higher education, and I just might observe that your leadership in organizing the Attorney Generals to immediately respond to NIH, etc. I'm on the board of the American Council of Education, was also part of that, and so your leadership really, our Attorney General really led the country in this, and so that cannot be understated. So just again, what do you, General Bonta, what do you think in the next few years with the likelihood of funds that have already been awarded to our state, higher education, et cetera, funds that have already been awarded to colleges and universities and other educational entities? What do you think is the likelihood of them being clawed back? It's one thing to say F&A, for example, from here moving forward is X. It's another thing to say what already been appropriated to you or awarded to you, we're going to rescind that and take that back. Your ideas?
That funding that's already been appropriated or awarded should be the safest funding. And why? Because Congress, not the president, has the power of the purse. Congress appropriates, Congress spends, and Congress has already sent this money out and decided that with their constitutional authority under Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution, they want the money awarded to colleges, universities, or other educational entities. So that is the safest type of funds or category of funds. The money that's already gone out the door, that's been sent to you or awarded to you, but not quite sent yet. The president and the executive branch is supposed to execute and take care, under the Take Care Clause of the U.S. Constitution, to carry out the will and the direction of Congress. Having said that, that is how the Constitution is supposed to work. But we have a Trump administration that desperately wants that power of the purse. It belongs to another co-equal branch of government, but he wants it. And he has tried time and time again. He's a repeat offender when it comes to this, to halt or impound or withhold funding that Congress has already appropriated. So he will try to claw back funds. He will try to prevent funds that have already been awarded from going out the door. But he shouldn't be successful. And we've largely been successful in challenging those unlawful and unconstitutional actions in courts. I mentioned a number of different areas where we've been successful, whether it be that $3 trillion of Office of Management and Budget funding, where we sued and we blocked that freeze. We say we thawed the freeze of the funding and make sure that the money went out the door, or the funding for NIH, National Institutes of Health Research. We've been able to get courts to block those attempts to withhold that money, or the funding that went out for COVID-19, or for learning loss, for mental health. It's already been appropriated, so it's very abnormal and not acceptable and unlawful for a president to try to stop Congress's appropriations that they've already made. But this Congress, led by Speaker Johnson and Republicans, is asleep at the wheel. They're not fighting to help ensure that the money that they've already appropriated actually is spent. And there's an ongoing effort to slash and burn and dismantle critical agencies and to withhold in the name, wrongly and inaccurately in the name of waste, fraud, and abuse, critical funding that's gone out the door. But if Congress has appropriated it, if it's been spent, or Congress has indicated that it ought to be spent and made a decision on that, the money should go out. Now, what a future Congress does is different, and they might, in a future budget bill or budget act, decide that less money will go out to schools and higher educational institutions, etc. But that needs to be done by Congress, and it needs to be done prospectively on a forward-going basis, not retroactively with clawbacks.
Right. I appreciate I'm sure we all do, General, your insights on that. You mentioned in your opening remarks the history of your family in the field, working UFW and others, and your sensitivity to those that are without legal status. What is your sense of what is possible at the state level to protect these most vulnerable students and families, mixed families in the same home, etc., amidst these sort of shifting federal kind of policies, and in some cases, the absence of policy?
You know, I think what's really important is to stand on and exercise the rights and protections that we have here in California, that our immigrants have, our undocumented students and their families have, and knowing what those rights are and when they can be exercised and how they can be exercised is absolutely critical as we push back against the onslaught, the attacks, the fear and anxiety that's being created, and that's why we've put out quite a few Know Your Rights guidance documents to make sure that the rights are known and are used, and we're also fighting back when rights are violated. I mentioned our blocking of the executive order that sought to amend the Constitution with one stroke of a Sharpie pen by trying to revoke birthright citizenship. That's unlawful, unconstitutional, that can't be done. I do want to be clear that the federal administration can lawfully enforce immigration law, but it can't unlawfully engage in immigration enforcement, meaning they can't invoke special powers, emergency powers that don't apply. Like the Alien Enemies Act is one that they are trying to use, and courts have blocked them already. The Insurrection Act, which gives them more authority when it comes to immigration enforcement. They can't violate Fourth Amendment rights and rights protecting unlawful searches and seizures. They can't racially profile. And they also, very importantly in California, can't force California's law enforcement agencies to use public resources to engage in immigration enforcement activities under SB 54 with some exceptions. So knowing rights and knowing protections and exercising them as appropriate is really critical right now.
Well, I appreciate, again, those insights and that specificity. Obviously, you're well aware, you're very familiar with the Valley, you're familiar with the history of agriculture, of our workforce, and know that this is causing great anxiety, unnecessary anxiety among many families and communities. One final question, Attorney General Bonta, as we close, and again, in consideration of your schedule. So this is a convening of the Central Valley Higher Education Consortium, almost 30 public and private colleges and universities representing 10 counties of the central San Joaquin, from the Current all the way up north, and 250,000 young people, 250,000, not inconsequential. What can these leaders here in the room, in their eco spaces of influence and authority, what can they do to assist your office in dealing with some of the challenges that you are confronting from Washington, particularly around some of the points that you made, whether it's the protection of rights and funding and support? So many of us rely on federal funding for the prosecution of research and innovation, discovery, workforce preparation and readiness. Undermining or threatening those don't seem to be in the best interest of our region, state, or country. How can we be part of your toolkit in responding?
Thank you. Let me first say thanks for all the work that you do in the Central Valley. Your work, your leadership, your communities, the Valley matter and are important to the future of our state, our nation. So thank you for all you do. And we want to do everything in our power here at the California DOJ to protect you and your rights, and also your funding, whether it be for research or financial aid or to serve underrepresented populations. And so we always believe we're at our best when we're working in close collaboration and communication with our partners who are on the ground doing the work. You will see some of the impacts of the Trump administration's attacks and cuts before we do. And so we want to hear about them. We can't help with what we don't know about, and sharing it with us as soon as you're aware of grants that are appropriated or funding that's appropriated but not forthcoming, or you're getting notices of freezing of already appropriated funding, or you're seeing ICE enforcement and you believe it's unlawful, all that is of interest to us. We want to know, we want to get all the information so we can assess, evaluate, and when appropriate, take action. Our North Star is always is the law being followed, and we always believe that it's not a lot to ask that the Trump administration and Mr. Trump himself follow the law. He's the President of the United States of America. He should follow the law. And unfortunately, he's been breaking it at a record pace, and we need to know about it, and we'll take him to court each and every time he breaks the law and hurts Californians. So you can always reach out to us, whether it be our Office of External Affairs, our Office of Community Awareness, Response, and Engagement, or Legislative Affairs. We also have leaders who deal with different subject matter policy areas, like immigrant rights, or environmental justice, or housing justice, racial justice. You can reach out to any of us. We also want you to know what we're working on. Sometimes we do things and they impact you and your members, but you might not know about it. So we have a newsletter that you can subscribe to if you wish by going to oag.ca.gov. We talk about all the cases, and again, they're fast and furious, 20 in less than 16 weeks. Or you can follow us on social media as we report out our latest actions against the Trump administration. But sharing with us what you know so that we can take action as appropriate is very helpful. It's welcomed, it's desired, it's requested, and also just want to encourage you to keep fighting. This is the time for courage and fight, for defending our rights, not a time for acquiescing or capitulating as some have done in this country when attacked unlawfully by an executive order by the Trump administration. We need to fight back against those unlawful actions. So stay vigilant, stay engaged, stay enraged, and please reach out to us when you believe that there is something unlawful that's harming you and your mission, your students, and your communities, and we'll always do our best to fight back and fight beside you.
Thank you, Attorney General. I hope you can hear the applause, and if you could see all the expressions of just support and pride for the position that you've taken and what you've challenged us to take alongside you. Thank you for making the time to address the consortium, and we wish you a productive day and week. With that, we will bring the Executive Director back. Thank you again. Another round of applause for your
Okay, thank you for those of you who have hung. We actually have, we were going to give everybody who stayed this long $1,000. No, seriously. No, but then the administration from Washington, D.C. pulled our funding. So Angel and Priscilla found enough dollars to come up with this wonderful little gift. For those of us who are older folks, we're gonna, it's one of these cards where instead of carrying a stack of business cards, you put all the stuff on it, right, Angel? And then you tap on somebody's phone and it goes right to it. That way, because I don't tap phones because I'm afraid all my stuff is going to go on the other person's phone. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I just wanted, but we do have a surprise. Actually, we just got word that Congressman Adam Gray, who was held up, is probably going to be able to join us. And if he does, we'll give him the microphone for a couple of minutes. But I'm going to close this thing. And first of all, again, remember that tomorrow is Dia de las Madres in Mexico. So it's Mother's Day, and Sunday is Mother's Day here in the United States. So all you moms and all of you who still have your moms alive and that sort of thing, please be very, very good to them. But we do have we're going to show this to you because we had reached out to Governor Newsom. And we had asked him to perhaps join us virtually as well. And he's all over the place as well. But he did put together this greeting for us. And so with that, Angel, I'll let you fire up the governor. And yeah, fire, there he is. It's all right, he's not live, so we're going to back him up.
When the state created its first master plan for higher education in the 1960s, the world was in flux, demanding a shift in priorities that could level the playing field for a stronger, fairer workforce. If that sounds familiar, it's because we're at another pivotal point where innovation and technology have advanced to such a degree that we now have to reimagine how we think about career readiness. And that's why we recently released California's Master Plan for Career Education. It's a new approach, a new paradigm of thinking, a step-by-step comprehensive plan to rapidly address our evolving economy that prioritizes skills and experiences. The plan builds on our commitments around affordability in particular. It's a decades-long commitment, by the way, that's really paid off. That focus on affordability is why 65%, roughly 65% of CSU and UC undergraduates already graduate with zero educational debt because of that foundational commitment. So we're being practical in this context as well, with practical education that is accessible to everyone, by the way, including our veterans and military members. We're helping folks turn their real-world experience into college credit. Long overdue that we do that at scale. But to achieve all of this and to make the system flexible enough to respond to emerging industries and skill needs, we have to strengthen partnerships across K-12, higher ed, and of course, our workforce systems. The Central Valley and Higher Ed Consortium in particular, you're critical, crucial to advancing our progress in this space. By the way, including progress that continues to this day on our high-speed rail and new emerging industries that are around and part of that investment. Our plan aims to open more doors for everyone, level the playing field for more and more people, and create clearer, easier paths for solid, good paid careers, talent, skills, and economic success. The economic health of the state are not determined by regional boundaries, something I know we can all agree on. So I look forward to working with all of you in creating more career pathways for this modern era.
We can clap. Thank you. That was a nice get right at the end there from the governor's office that he was willing to greet us. How are we doing back there?
Still waiting.
Okay. So we've been told that Congressman Adam Gray is here, is somewhere here-ish, and he's still, when he gets here on time. But I did want to close the whole thing. But first of all, thank Chancellor Munoz for chairing the thing today and for his comments, and especially with respect to not only the Attorney General Bonta, but also with our electeds to have that, to be able to generate the kind of dialogue that we did with our elected officials in a way that I don't think anybody can say that they've been to an event recently where the governor spoke, the Attorney General spoke, and we had elected officials from Congress and from the State Assembly. That was pretty impressive, and those folks did come because of you folks and because of the great work that you all are doing. And so with respect to that, are there any closing comments, any questions that anyone has before we go? Here's what's going to happen next year. We're going to have, a couple of people have asked me, you do this every year? We do this every year. Of course, this year was impactful and important because of what's going on in Washington, D.C. But each year, we come up with a different theme. Next year, we're going to be doing this, probably won't be May-ish, this May, because this was crazy, crazy time. But we're going to be doing it in the spring. And we're going to, I got an offer from President Saul over at Fresno State, and he is offering his facility. He's got a brand new facility. I don't know if any of you have been there, but he's offering his facility, so we'll have our board meeting there. We'll have this event there as well. And so put it on your calendars as some work in the spring, and we will. And then Angel, a quick question. Someone asked me, do we have the attendee list available that we can send out to the membership. So those of you, so someone also mentioned earlier the slides and that sort of thing. So we'll make the slides available on the website, or will we send them out? So we'll send you the slides that were presented here, and then what we'll also do is send you the list of attendees so that you can see and communicate with some of the folks that you connected with or weren't able to connect with as well. So at this point, I'm just burning time. I want to be respectful to our congressman who was really, really hoping to come and chat with us, and I know that, you know, this time of the year they're being torn in 18 different directions. So I want to first of all thank all of the presidents and chancellors who either served as moderators or served as presenters, or, you know, introducing the panels, and thought that went particularly well. And I think that some of the stuff that I heard makes me very, very, very hopeful. So with that, so what do you think? 2 minutes? Okay. No, I'm not as good as Chancellor Munoz. He's funny, you know, he gets up here and says things and makes you laugh. I just don't have, I have that ability. I just don't have that ability. But, so people are raising their hands. Does that mean?
James can rap.
Oh,
I'm just making time too.
Oh, wait a minute. We have a rapper and we have another rapper. So
we'll go with the rapper.
No, go please.
I just have maybe a comment, maybe an opportunity for growth. I see a lot of great educators here, but who I do not see are some of the on-the-ground grassroots educators, which are our promotoras, the mothers who are involved with Familias en Acción, Familias Empoderadas, that are doing a lot of educational workshops and seminars on their own dime and time to make sure that educational pathways are possible for students of color. So I don't see them here, and I just want to mention that it would be difficult for them to be here, just even on a language accessibility base, but I think that, you know, maybe for next year, if possible, we should really consider bringing in those educadoras who are also doing an amazing job out in the community.
Thank you for that. I will say that before we let President Preston rap, but I will say that the promotoras and other organizations like that do interact with a number of the organizations that are here, and also with our colleges and universities. When I was president of Merced College, where they started promotoras there in my county, Merced County, and those women were particularly strong, and they actually, we would actually have them meet. So I do know that some of those organizations are in fact interacting with the institutions. Typically this is a policy and legislative summit, but for next year, Angel's gonna write it down, and we'll give some serious thought to your suggestion. So thank you so much. With that, somebody give a microphone to President Preston, and we'll hear his rap.
I'm saving it for graduation, Ben, but you're welcome to come join us at graduation.
No. Just give us a snippet, like 30 seconds. It's all what do we need? 30 seconds.
Yeah, Ben Duran, what the heck? We're so happy at CVHEC.
Is there anyone out there that can top that? It doesn't matter. It won't take much. But is there anyone out there willing to step forward? Okay, how are we doing back there? We're burning seconds here. He's in where? Oh, he's like Elvis. He's in the building. Okay. Well, no, actually, you know, we're being facetious now. We're waiting for the congressman, but we are in fact very fortunate to have him literally come at this time. Who he didn't have to. He could have just called and said, you know what, I wasn't able to make it, but he does believe in the work that is going on in the Central Valley, especially around medical education and that sort of a thing. And you heard some of the work that that he and Congressman Costa were doing. You heard a little bit about it this morning. So I do want to give him an opportunity to say hello to you and give you some thoughts, if you will, about what's going on, at least from his perspective. And in doing so, get to recognize that, you know, he's been an assemblyman, he was a senator, and then he became a congressman. And I've literally, a lot of us have known him for a long, long time. And he's a really important voice for us here in the Central Valley. So with that, I was trying to extend my syllables. So, Jim, do you have one more verse? One more verse? Okay, give him the microphone.
I'm going to use the visual props in the room, so I'm going to say increasing degrees, our purpose, our season, our reason. Let's get ready for graduation season.
Now, that is awesome, and I don't think anybody... So we'll write that one down, and we'll put it on the screen for next year. That was very, very good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And again, drive home. When you drive home, drive carefully. Be very, very careful. I know there are folks here again. So Molly Wade. Molly came to us from Barcelona, Spain. Right? And then Brandon, who you heard of from here, came to us from Indiana. Indiana, from Complete College America. And is there anyone else that's left that came from out of state or from far away? Oh, Janelle. North Carolina. Janelle, thank you so much. And Janelle is working with the Complete College America Accelerator Rate Project. Having said, come on up, Congressman. Having said that, let's all greet Congressman Adam Gray. Come on all the way up, and we know you were hung up and weren't able to join us earlier, but we're just delighted to have you. And I was telling folks that that I've had the opportunity to know you for a long time, and in the meantime, we're being entertained by one of our presidents who does a side job as a rapper, and so I'm sorry you missed that. But you know what? You want to say hello to the crowd and give us some thoughts and things like that. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, and wonderful to see everyone, and appreciate Ben and all the folks that have dedicated themselves to this important effort around higher education and really the future of our valley. I know you've had some wonderful speakers and panelists throughout the afternoon and morning, and there are so many important topics in Washington, frankly, that we're grappling with right now. In some respects, setting the valley back, or certainly having some concerns on, what are we doing on immigration reform? What are we doing on investments in higher education? What are we doing on investments in healthcare? And unfortunately, too much of the conversation right now seems to be kind of a chaotic dismantling at times of some of these important resources. But all the more important that we're engaged in efforts like this, right? And bringing the community together and focusing on the importance of things like getting a Farm Worker Modernization Act done. That's a piece of legislation we got reintroduced bipartisan with Congressman Costa here locally, myself, some of our Republican colleagues across the aisle, making serious investments in our universities. I saw Chancellor Munoz from UC Merced, and certainly he and I, some of you in the room, many others involved for many years in trying to bring a medical school to the San Joaquin Valley. We've made great progress. Right? The building's going up right now, the medical education building and the partnership with UCSF here in Fresno, but we still have far too many challenges. We saw Madera Hospital close and then reopen thanks to the work of our Assemblywoman Esmeralda Soria and our Senator Ana Caballero. But we really need to be shifting into high gear moving forward with investments, not just in a medical school program, but our nursing programs, our community colleges, and our CSUs, our nurse practitioner programs, and CSU Stanislaus. These are the types of investments that are going to create the workforce for a successful future here in the San Joaquin Valley. It's really one of the fastest growing regions of the state and the country. And California certainly has its challenges. I think there are more challenges than we'd like to see, but we have to celebrate our success as well. I mean, the fourth largest economy in the world now. We are leading the world in so many areas. And if we can come together with efforts like this and communities like these, we really can chart the future that I know we all want. I'm just so grateful for all the hard work. Sorry I missed the program earlier this afternoon, but grateful to you, Dr. Duran, and the many others that have put the elbow grease, the hard work into bringing our community together. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you to really build the future that we all deserve. So thank you for giving me a few moments to say hello, and appreciate all that you've done here today.